And joining the show now is the Rider reporter from the Green Zone, Britton Gray. Thanks so much for coming on To and Out to talk about the 2024 Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Absolutely glad to be here, and it just means football's back, right? That's the exciting part.
Yes,
right.
We are recording this a day after Saskatchewan's preseason win over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but a lot can change between now and the regular season, as we've all seen as CFL fans. But we're here talking after back-to-back 6-12 seasons with 0 wins after Labor Day. But all of a sudden, it just seems like there's a renewed sense of optimism in Riderville. I'm in Alberta, but I feel the energy coming from Saskatchewan. Everybody's tied in first place, 0-0, but people seem very excited right now.
I mean, yeah, a lot of excitement in Saskatchewan, right? You got a new head coach who's very personable, right? A head coach who kind of speaks well and speaks with energy, speaks with a confidence that's kind of has been missing from this team over the past few seasons. Just kind of the way that the past 2 years have gone, a lot of people were tuning this team out. They just were. They weren't interested in what was being put out there. Corey Mace brings some energy, and you're starting to just see it already. They also brought like Jamarcus Hardrick. There's not a bigger energy guy in probably the CFL than Jamarcus Hardrick. Twice already, he's already chest bumped Keen Schaefer-Baker, nearly put him into benches.
Wow.
So, I mean, the energy's here. There's excitement. And like you said, everyone's 0-0 right now. Records are even. But we'll see what happens. I mean, like, obviously the health of Trevor Harris is the biggest kind of thing, I think, for this team to be successful this season.
I do want to ask quickly about that. I guess the whole new coaching staff. You talk about the energy, and we're talking about practice, to quote Allen Iverson. But I've never seen a group of fans get so excited about practice and how things were going. Like, I guess talk about the change when it comes to that and the on-field stuff you've been able to see so far.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jamie Nye has a better grasp of this because I only covered Craig Dickinson. That was my first coach covering the team. Right. But he said the practice we saw when the pads came out the first time with Corey Mace at training camp, just the intensity, people flying around, the energy, was the best he's seen since before Craig Dickinson in 4 or 5 years. Just the energy is up. And another big thing with currently right now is accountability. This Riders team, the past few seasons, have led the CFL in penalties. And it felt like if you're looking in from the outside, nothing was being done. We don't know what was going on behind the doors, but it felt like nothing was being done. The same mistakes were being made. No one was getting sat, even though they probably should have been sat last year. And now accountability this year. There was a punch thrown in training camp by one of the players. He made them run, and it got a standing ovation from all the fans who were there. So accountability is a big thing, and you're seeing it there. And just intensity, like I said, Corey Mace's personality is infectious. He's intense. And kind of, we always say teams embrace the personality of their head coaches. They become like that. And I think you're slowly starting to see that happen with this Riders team, which has people excited for what this season could hold.
Yeah. And so with all the changes that have happened, I think one that I and probably most other Rider fans are kind of looking forward to the most here is we know Trevor Harris is a starter, and he looked okay in the preseason game. I didn't get to go. I was stuck in pain with my sciatica, so I missed the game yesterday. But so tell me about your views in camp on the other backup, the battle for the backup quarterback, and then tell me about what you saw in the game opposed to in camp.
I mean, admittedly, the backup quarterback spot should be a place of concern right now. There's no one who has like performed well enough where it's like, okay, if Trevor Harris goes down, they won't miss a beat with this new guy in. It just hasn't happened. I mean, Mason Fine, I've said it on the Green Zone. I feel like we've seen what the ceiling of Mason Fine. He hasn't taken those kind of steps forward you want to see for a guy who's in his 4th year in the league, where that's opportunity. But nothing is just kind of happening there that's exciting. That like he might be a good backup, but if Trevor Harris is down for 6-7 weeks, there's nothing been shown that he's the guy. Now, hey, I always say, prove me wrong. If Mason Fine goes out and wins a bunch of games, hey, I'll be happy to be wrong. But I just haven't seen that kind of spark. Shea Patterson to me was kind of the one I wanted to see take that step because he's from Michigan. Like he went some big college programs. Just in the pros, it's never kind of come together for him, whatever reason that may be. The UFL struggled there. Now I feel like he's mentally in a place where he's focusing on the CFL. He knows what he has to do. He's the CFL quarterback. This is what he's going to do. And he kind of looked the best in the preseason game. He went 3 for 3, should have been 4 for 4 with a big toss to Keyshawn Johnson, but Joe's penalty, of course, wipes that off. But that was a beautifully thrown ball. So it seems like I said taking steps. He's taken a step forward. So I kind of view him as leading the way in that number 2 spot. Now, of course, coaches can see whatever they want. They have different what they're looking for, but I view him as the number 2. Antonio Pipkin, he's a short yardage guy. He's thrown some nice balls at training camp, but we kind of know what Antonio Pipkin is at this point in the league. He's a short yardage guy. Jack Cohn looked very comfortable out there in his first preseason game. Nothing. Now, there were some mistakes, but that's going to happen. First guy in the CFL, but he didn't look completely out of place, and he handled some short yardage stuff in the fourth quarter there. So maybe he finds a way to stick around the PR. And another guy, kind of when you get these quarterbacks in the first year, you don't expect too much. Kind of keep them on the PR, let them learn the game. And then year 2 and 3 is where you look for these big jumps from these quarterbacks. So currently, right now, I think Shea Patterson's number 2. Mason Fine kind of on the outside looking in, but he got hurt or something in the preseason game. Corey Mace said there was something wrong with his body and they pulled him out because of it. So it makes it sound like when he got hit, something just went wrong. So maybe he gets an opportunity in Edmonton here to kind of retake that number 2 spot. But then Pipkin as a short yardage guy, Jack Cohn as a PR, but I don't see how they keep all 5 quarterbacks on this roster.
Yeah, I liked what I saw from Cohn for his short yardage, so I'm wondering if maybe he gets in there again in the second game and they could save a little bit of money by, cutting Pipkin and going with him. But talk to us about the O-line now. So you mentioned Jamarcus Hardrick, almost injuring one of our star receivers. What have you been seeing in camp about this updated O-line that we've gotten?
I mean, it should be better on paper, right? It feels like they've made the right moves. Left tackle is going to be very interesting. Left tackle, there's been no one who really makes you feel completely 100% confident in him. Trevor Reed is getting the reps, but he's a first-year CFLer. Yeah, he's spent some time with the Eagles and learning from guys like Lane Johnson and Travis Kelce. Jason Kelce, sorry, not Travis. Jason Kelce. And so he's learned, but it's like, how does that translate over? So we'll see when he finally faces the first stringers, right? Because it was just the second stringers against Winnipeg. Logan Ferland has taken another step, in my opinion. Like, you talk about a guy who's getting pushed. They brought in Ryan Sevier, who was a West All-Star at guard, and he's held them off for the most part. Ryan Sevier's been with the 2s, while Ferland's been with the starters. So that's what you want to see, guys taking steps, especially a young guy like Ferland. Peter Godber going to be a solid center. He's one of the better centers in the league. Philip Blake, despite his age, is still one of the best offensive linemen in the league. Now, of course, health-wise, he's had some injuries every time he's been in Saskatchewan, so we'll see if he stays healthy. And then, like I said, Jamarcus Hardrick, he's already the emotional leader of that offensive line group, of maybe the offense, just of the way he's always in people's faces, kind of cheering them on, even yelling at the defense to get after the ball. Like, Jamarcus Hardrick is going to be a fan favorite for Rider fans because his personality is just so infectious, and he's very noticeable out there.
I want to ask about the Canadian receiver group. I feel like Schaefer Baker's almost gotten forgotten about outside of Saskatchewan. He made a return from injury last year, so he didn't reach the levels he did before, but coming in this year, hopefully healthy from the start. And there's Mitch Picton, Braden Lenius, Samuel Emelis, and also Adjo. He ended up making an impact in that first preseason game of his. It seems like a very big strength of this team.
Listen, people, obviously, with Jeremy O'Day and the way seasons have gone, have really kind of blamed him for a lot of it. His drafting has been top-notch. When you look at the draft classes he's brought in, the talent he's found, especially at receivers, it's been really good. And here's another example, like Keane Schaefer-Baker. I'll say first, if people forgot about him, he had a highlight reel catch in that preseason game where he had to adjust. It looks like he's 100% healthy after dealing with kind of that hip surgery last year. he looks rejuvenated. I mean, Sam Emilus, if he takes another step, he could have 1,500 yards. He's turned into one of the premier deep threats in the league. But Braden Lennius, there should be concern if you're Braden Lennius, because he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And he's once again missing time, and we'll see exactly how long he's missing. But if he misses an extended period of time, hey, every opportunity, these guys are coming to take your job. And you have a guy like Ajo who is like talent-wise ridiculous. He was a part of a Clemson recruiting class that was voted top 3 in the nation back when he was recruited. So a lot of talent, but he's bounced around universities. What's the reason for that? Is it a mental thing? Is it immaturity? Why is that? So kind of something with him. Del Duncan Busby is a guy who you want to keep an eye on because in terms of all the receivers in this past draft class, he was the most productive. Every year he had near 50 catches, 900 yards, and double-digit touchdowns at Bemidji State. Does he take a step? And so a lot of talent. I mean, Mitch Picton is one of the best kind of backups in the league because he can go wherever. Yeah. If someone goes down, you can play him in any receiver spot, which is invaluable to any team. So a lot of great talent, a lot of guys stepping up. And like I said, Braden Lennius, if you're not out there, someone's going to take your job. And I like Braden. I think he can be talented. He's one of my favorite people to interview. But your best ability is availability, and he just hasn't been available to this team recently.
Yeah, I think if Adu makes the team, it's just Adu squared. I think that's got to be. Let's go with that.
I like that.
Yes, he has to stay onside though. He had the offside in that game, and that's something Corey Mace will be sure to address.
Yes. Okay, so we did see a lot of positives in the game, but tell us about some of the holes that you think are on this Riders team right now.
It's really tough just on the preseason game because they were against a bunch of backups. I mean, a pass rusher, right? Like, will Malik Carney be that guy and emerge this year? Is Brian Cox Jr. the guy on the other side on the defensive end? I really like what Christian Albright did last year, but he's kind of been the backup. So an elite pass rusher. Interior wise, some guys flashed, but I mean, Micah Johnson should start there, but I mean, he's 35, right? Mm-hmm. You eventually have to find the next guy, despite the fact that Micah Johnson still gets double teamed every time he's out there, which opens up spots, but find a guy there. The defensive backfield, it's interesting. They moved Nelson Lacombo to field corner at the green and white game, which they had never done prior in training camp. He's always been the backup safety. That was the first time they put him there. Had him there at the game. So makes you wonder what they're doing with their ratio, kind of what they see there. But they lost Jalen Edwards-Cooper. That was going to be their starting field corner. He failed his physical. They release him. Haven't closed the door on him, but who knows if or when he ever plays for the Riders. He was a very good signing, so you have to find that. CJ Revis is already injured. Amari Henderson is already dealing with stuff. We won't know, like, the issues I see with this team is the depth. Will the depth step up? Because last year, when Roland Milligan went out, no one filled that spot. They struggled all year to find someone to fill that. And so we'll see. And then, I mean, like I said, the offensive left tackle spot, that's going to be something to watch. No one really there who you're 100% confident in, at least until they start playing against some talent. But otherwise, like, this team looks solid. On paper, it looks like a very much improved team. So it's tough for me to say, here's the holes I see when we only saw them against backups and third and fourth stringers.
Is it fair to say, like, is AJ Ouellette right now at this time when we're talking the best addition to this team? I mean, this guy seems all in on Rider Nation. He's making himself a whole new fan base of his own.
He's up there, right? Just the personality and the fact that I think he is going to be what this team wants, which is a bruising running back. I think this team wants to make opposing players not want to tackle in the third and fourth quarters. They want to kind of keep these guys on their toes, run over them. That's what AJ Ouellette brings. Well, once again, Jamarcus Hardrick, another key. Like, his just watching him, guys, I can't speak enough about the personality Jamarcus Hardrick is right now. But AJ Ouellette, he's been good. But I mean, the preseason game, Frankie Hickson really flashed. And I've been a fan of Frankie Hickson since his rookie year. The way he runs angry, but is deceptively quick. And Clint Rakovich, out of kind of, I don't know about nowhere, if you kind of follow him, he's kind of highly regarded. He's come to this team. He's listed as a fullback. He may as well be a running back because that's where they use him more. and he's very talented as well when you watch him run the ball. So AJ Ouellette, there's a lot of competition at running back. We always talk about the running back position kind of being one short lifespan, but AJ will be great. He'll be great for this team, kind of bringing in that Corey Mace winning culture, being with him in Toronto. And you can't, I don't think you put any sort of, I don't say price tag, but the importance of that.
Is Shawn Bane Jr. going to take another step forward, a second-year Roughrider here? The speed, the deep threat. I know it's the preseason game, but it seems like this guy, they want to get him more involved in the offense, and Trevor Harris and him are building a connection there.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that, like I said, just like Sam Emelis, he also had 1,000 yards last year. If they take another step, 12, 13, 1,400, why not? It was funny because in the preseason game, the first pass Trevor Harris completed was to Shawn Bane Jr., which went for 65 yards before Bane was tracked down by one of the defenders. And after the game, Harris said he made sure to let Bane know that Bane's been tracked down from behind more than Harris has this year so far. So he has that on him right now. Harris hasn't been hit from behind quite yet after when yeah.
He Harris himself, he seems like he's got a chip on his shoulder a little bit, and he wants to kind of prove everybody that he's still got it, and he's recovered after that injury last year.
Yeah, he was asked a question after the game just about, do you feel like you have to prove it to people this year? The fact that he's going to be 38 when this season starts, first major injury, and his knee was broken in plenty of places. Like, it wasn't just one little thing. And he said, just watch. He wants to prove people wrong. He wants to prove he has it. And the 38 and like CFL quarterbacking is weird, right? Because a lot of these guys don't become starters until they're 30 or 31 in the CFL when they eventually do the NFL, come down. So like if we were doing it last year, I forget who it was, but like Darian Durant was in his mid to late 30s when he first won a Grey Cup. Henry Burris, like all these guys, 38 isn't ancient in the CFL when you compare it to NFL quarterbacks. And so there's still a lot left in his tank, I feel, but he has to stay healthy. Well, right now, that is the key for this team is Trevor Harris's health, because if a backup's called upon, who knows where this season can go.
The 2024 edition of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. As a longtime fan, it's an exciting time of year because, like I said before, everyone's tied for first, and it does look like the powers in the West right now are Winnipeg and BC. I really don't think there's any arguing that. But the other three, Saskatchewan, Edmonton, and Calgary, it might be a battle to get into that last playoff spot where the Riders haven't been for a little while.
It absolutely could be. When I look at the West this year, I think BC is the best team in the West right now. I think Winnipeg takes a step back. I thought last year they were going to take a step back, and now they finally have lost some guys, right? They don't have Jackson Jeffcoat, Jamarcus Hardrick. They're another year older. Adam Big Hill's already dealing with an injury, or at least has been put on to the injured list. Don't know if that's any sort of roster stuff. Who knows at this time of the year? But there's concerns around Winnipeg, so I think they take a step back. Edmonton, who knows with Edmonton, when the fact that they continue to not give Trey Ford the opportunity and went out and signed McLeod Bethel-Thompson. Once again, big fan of McLeod Bethel-Thompson, but you had something good in Trey Ford. And Calgary, this could be tough for Calgary. Jake Mayer, I have not been a fan of what I've seen from him. Matthew Schultz might end up being the starter out of training camp. Like, I think it's an open competition there when you go out and sign a guy like Matt Schultz, who has shown he can at least be productive while as a starter wherever he's been, but hasn't been given the full opportunity. So Calgary, I think, might be tough, but we'll see. You never know. We all thought the Montreal Alouettes weren't going to be good last year.
It's even worth predicting, you know?
No one had Montreal at the beginning of the year Grey Cup champions.
Careful, you get a lot of hate if you say that Calgary's not going to be good this year.
The Saskatchewan-Calgary rivalry is still alive and well. How have you... I just want to ask about the defense one more time. I felt like it was the strength of the team going into the past few seasons and then fell apart as the season went on. Now there's a completely different system in. Corey Mace is in place. I'm excited to see Jameer Thurman playing linebacker in green and white. Derek Moncrief is gone. Pete Robertson is gone. Is the defense going to be another strength of the team? What are you thinking on that front?
I think so, because you have a defensive coach, right? That's kind of where you expect the strength to be. And I mean, they got rid of some guys like Nick Marshall. He gave up. He quit on that team. You could tell kind of the last part of the season, it was throwing the shoulder, not wrapping up guys, throwing the shoulder. That kind of bleeds into the entire team when you don't have a coach who's going to call that out or sit him. And so I think the kind of addition by subtraction there. I mean, Jameer Thurman, we know how good of a linebacker he is. Micah Johnson there still to kind of be a leadership. Malik Carney, does he finally reach double-digit sacks, right? There's a lot to like right now. CJ Revis, if he's healthy, when I was looking at stats, you compare him to other Sam linebackers, he had some of the best stats in the league, despite the fact he wasn't a starter for most of last year. Like, when given the opportunity, he's been good. Roland Milligan being back, I can't speak enough about that. Roland Milligan's one of my favorite defenders to watch because he hits hard. Deontay Williams, he kind of came on last year. I like the way he plays. There's a lot to like right now. And I think Corey Mace and his ability to talk to these guys and motivate them, there should be a lot of excitement around this defense, because I think they've addressed some needs. And Corey Mace, just what we've seen from wherever he's gone with the defense, it's always improved. It's always been good. So I do think it'll be another strength.
The Riders open up their season June 8th in Edmonton, so we'll see who comes together quickest out of Edmonton and Saskatchewan. Britton Gray is the Rider reporter for the Green Zone. Thanks so much for coming on the show to talk 2024 Saskatchewan Roughrider football.
Absolutely. Always enjoy talking football. The season's back, finally. Long off season.
If you liked this video, make sure you subscribe to see more CFL content all season long, including all of our team previews heading into the 2024 season.